Welcome back to the Molloy Twins Podcast. And before we get into today's episode, we'd just like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Website for Trades.
Websites for Trades is a business that's set up by Clondalkin local Luke Corrigan and aims to provide affordable but profitable services focused on websites, logos, marketing, social media and videography. It's for tradespeople around Ireland looking to get ahead online. And if you'd like to find out more about the business, you can find them through www.websitesfortrades.ie or on Instagram.
And if you're not a tradesperson, but you would still like to avail of these services, then Luke still has you covered, because he also runs serodigital.io, which is a more general agency that can help you with all of the above. You can find them out at www.serodigital.io or on Instagram. Everything will be linked in the description. Welcome back to the Molloy Twins Podcast, and today we're joined by one of Ireland's favourite stand-up comedians. It's Willa White.
Lads, how are you? Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome, man. Thanks for coming. Long time in the making. Well, in the vision.
In the vision, defo.
Yeah, a lot of communication.
Yeah.
And we'll give your Uncle Christy a mention.
Shout out Christy.
Shout out to Christy. The original deer hunter.
Yeah. But man, we appreciate you coming down. We know how busy you must be with requests and your own stuff, so it does mean a lot.
Not about it. Look, come here, listen, if I can do something for someone, it's a good thing to do, isn't it? It's good to be able to give your time to somebody else. I think we all should give a little bit of time to somebody.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a good thing to do.
Definitely.
You do it a lot as well, man. Like, you've been giving dig outs to so many different people on podcasts and people coming up, and it's great lip service when people say, oh, you should always do something to help out others, but to see you actually doing it and leading the charge on it is, just wanted to shout you out for that, man, because I think it's so admirable.
Yeah, nice one. Well, it's mad because I've been a guest for so long on podcasts. Do you know what I mean? And now I'm doing a podcast with one of my best mates, Eric Lawler. So it's mad to be kind of on both sides of the table, I suppose. You know, but I love it. I love talking. I talk for a living. I love people. I love the dynamics of people and what they're about, what they do, finding out about them. I literally sit down and talk to someone for 5 minutes and I'll tell you what they do, where they grew up, what they work at for a living and what their intentions are for the next 5 years. My missus just say, how do you do that? And it's because I think I give off the energy that I'm really, really easy to deal with. I'm a nice, likeable kind of fella, and people like talking to me. You know, and sometimes people don't. And I think it's great to know sometimes that when people don't want to talk to you, and you can just step off. Not everybody is as talkative as others. Some people are, introverts. Some people are extrovert, and I get that as well. Like, So but I love people in general. You know.
No, for sure. Well, it's nice to be nice, and we hope that when you leave today, it feels like it's time well spent.
Yeah, definitely. Like, come here, I've watched a couple of episodes, and it's like, it's not that I do my homework all the time, like, but like, I've done a couple of podcasts in the past, and I'm not going to bleed and name anybody or do anything like that, where it was kind of like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm kind of looking at the watch and I'm going, I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't like when it's like that. I like when it's natural and when it flows, and it's like you're just having a chat with two of the lads, or one of the lads, or a girl, or whatever it might be, and it kind of just it's not forced, and it is, because I think people associate out very, very quickly when they look at you in a podcast and they'll go, something not right there. Do you know what I mean? It's very hard to hide the fact of who you are, especially when you're in the public eye. Do you know what I mean? People like I was in the Laughter Lounge last night, and after the Laughter Lounge, as much as I want to just get out of there, like, there's loads of people asking for photographs and whatever, and I'm like, I'm good with that. It's not, I don't look at it as a chore. I look at it as it's kind of part of my job, like, and it's the reason why people buy tickets to come to see me. Like, if I'm doing a big show, they go, sure, why wouldn't we want to go to see him? He's played in sound. He's never been, rude. He gives us a photograph. He smiles. If I ask him to send a message to someone on my phone, he does it willingly and all that. And I mean, I've got to remember that the people that are coming to see me and that are giving me a few bob are punters and are my own people, like, the people are the ones that make it. Like, without people like that, without an audience like that, should I be playing to empty rooms, like,
Fact.
Great point.
Well, without further ado, we'll get into some quick fire questions to get us warmed up.
Let's go.
Before I even get into that, your life story is fascinating. I mean, if it was fictional, it would be hard to believe. The fact that it's real just makes it even more amazing. I was listening to you yesterday on the Two Norries. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Was that the outdoor one?
The live one.
Yeah, that was during COVID.
Yeah, I was getting emotional. I listened to it in the car driving back through Ballymount. It's like, what a story. What a turnaround.
Yeah, it's like, and it's mad because the three of us on that stage all have a great story. To Timmy and James as well, and the two great lads. Phenomenal podcast when the both of them were doing it, and they kind of went their separate ways for different reasons at the minute. But yeah, that was great. That was great to do that. That kind of showed me, and even though it was outside and it was on a stage and all that, myself and my missus went down, and the lads looked after us and put us up in a nice hotel, and that it kind of reaffirmed to me that things were starting to turn again a little bit, that the entertainment industry, that people had been starved of, you know, the artists and the punters was starting to come back around, because I think the artists got hit really, really hard, like, and there was nothing from the government to kind of put a plaster on what was going on. I personally think that if stuff ever breaks down like that again, that the artists, you know, mortgage and stuff like that should even be covered. Like, you know, they shouldn't be getting into debt because there's a pandemic going on in the world. You know, there's no other way to get out. You know, I don't think anybody, you know, not even artists, I think everyone should be exempt from paying their mortgage, that there should be a mortgage freeze when something happens like that. For everybody, not just artists. That's probably wrong to say that. Because I mean, when you got the 350 quid, 350 quid ain't a lot of money.
Yeah, not at all.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're paying a mortgage that's 1,200 quid a month, which is a small mortgage, I mean,
you're done.
You've got 200 quid left for bleeding jellies and ice cream. Like, you know what I mean? When you think about it, like, so what do you actually do? So the amount of people that were left, and are probably still struggling, ordinary working class families, trying to get back on the back on their feet after the pandemic, is just, it's unreal. Like, and it was uncalled for. There was nothing really there for the government to look after the people, and everyone that's in the government, and sure none of them went stuck.
Fact.
Do you know what I mean? I'd love to see one of them coming out of office and do what we're doing. You know, give them a normal wage and see how they navigate through everyday life and get by. They get brilliant holidays. They give themselves a rise.
All the perks,
Imagine us working in a company and giving ourselves a rise every now and again.
Off there.
Do you know what I mean? And the pension is phenomenal. Like, look, it's ridiculous what they get for a pension. Like, the old folks that, you know, getting 100 odd euros, and these are getting thousands. Like, for what? For making a bollocks up of the country.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? We've ruined a load of stuff. Give us a few quid, you know.
Job done.
You know, and they're all in each other's pockets. They all play golf in the same golf clubs. The kids all run around with each other, and it's just a bleed.
The cabal in there.
It's like the Freemason society. They all. It's like a nudge and a wink, and they all look after each other. And that's my opinion. And if anyone, you know, thinks that that's the wrong opinion, it's okay. We're all entitled to an opinion, like, you know.
Yeah, I don't think you won't find any critics in this room anyway with that opinion. I'm probably not watching this podcast. But into the quick fires. First question: what would be your dream venue to do a gig?
My dream venue to do a gig, and do you know what? It wouldn't be the Tree Arena.
No,
I'm not big on arenas. I've gigged in a couple of big, huge rooms like that before, just as a kind of support act and stuff like that. If I was to gig anywhere as a venue, I'd probably do a gig somewhere like Christchurch Cathedral or something like that.
Nice.
Somewhere kind of, or Dublin Castle maybe. And it wouldn't be about the numbers. It wouldn't be about how many I could get in there. I mean, if I could get into a nice, iconic venue, you know, somewhere in Dublin, where would I do actually? I have to say the Gaiety was really, really special. Now I'm doing the Olympia in October, but they're two real kind of good Dublin venues. Come here, Vicar Street. I love Vicar Street. I've got to say. I don't know. That's a very, very good question. But the Tree Arena wouldn't be on it as much. Come here, as much as I'd love to do the Tree Arena, it wouldn't be my first go-to kind of. I like something with a bit of culture. I'd like to do, you know, somewhere on the docks of Dublin, like a warehouse, or, you know, something kind of off the beaten track, kind of, or somewhere even in. You know, and I'm not even going to say in around the Liberties, because Vicar Street is in and around the Liberties as well. But I'd like to do somewhere a bit quaint. You know, like probably to get somewhere in the Guinness Storehouse, or maybe an old church somewhere in Dublin, St. Mickens, or, you know, Christchurch, or one of these, you know, big churches like that. I'd like to do something like that.
Daily.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, something different.
Yeah, the Round Tower in Clondalkin.
Yeah,
But just for anyone that's listening, I am open to doing the stream.
Any promoters who are
those stories.
Yeah.
As a man who hosts a podcast now, podcast host, is there any dream guest that you have in mind? Someone you'd love to get on the pod?
Someone I'd love to get on the pod. I'd love to get Billy Connolly.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'd love to get Billy Connolly. Big Billy Connolly fan. A man that has an amazing story. I read his book, Windswept and Wonderful, and it's just from the whole lot, from being a kid right up to getting into stand-up, is affiliation with Dublin and the Dubliners, and playing traditional music and folk music, and them walking on the docks over in Glasgow, and it's just it's a well of stories and just real good stuff. He's just an amazing character. So definitely Billy Connolly. Is there anyone else I could think of off the top of my head? I like Imelda May as well. Someone kind of a little bit younger. Yeah, I think she's got an awful lot going on as well, and has a great story as well.
Yeah.
Someone kind of like myself, working class, doesn't really come from an awful lot, but chase their dreams and chase their ambitions, and has done an awful lot for her life as well, So, Imelda for a dub.
Yeah.
And Billy Connolly would definitely be, he'd be an amazing guest, and he's getting on now, and he's suffering.
Is he ill at the moment?
Yeah, he's got Parkinson's and that, but such an amazing man, and a very down to earth fella as well, I believe.
Right, yeah.
And I think an awful lot of the people that come from working class backgrounds like that, it's like the humble never bleed and crumble,
Yeah.
I think when you come from that and what it's like to have nothing, it's like even John Bishop. I look at John, and John's from that as well. He's a working class fella that done all right for himself and worked in a decent job before he got into stand up. But he just has that quality of that. Look, and I've been in his presence loads of times. He's just an ordinary fella. He treats everybody the same. Whether he knows you 20 years or whether he knows you 2 months, everyone's on an even keel. And I just like that about a person. There's none of this Mickey swinging kind of going, look at me and look at what I have. It's not about that. He's just a good bloke, Oh,
look, some great answers. Imelda May, Billy Connolly, John Bishop. It's a solid lineup.
Solid trio, yeah.
Next one is the impossible question for a comedian. What's been your favourite joke you've ever told?
Favourite joke I've ever told? Fucking hell.
Going back through the archives now, trying to pull them out.
Whether it was just because you find it personally funny or you weren't expecting it to land as well as it did.
I don't know. That's actually a question I can't really answer, because a lot of the stuff, a lot of the stuff that has been really funny is stuff that's just happened off the cuff. I remember I done a gig one night in Ballymun in the Access Theatre for a group that was out there. I don't know, say they were like the Men's Shed or something like that.
Yeah.
And I started taking the piss out of this woman, and she only had one hand. She had a prosthetic hand. And I just ran with it. I didn't run with her hand. But I just started taking the piss out of her, and it was very, very funny. And she got a great laugh out of it. And I was, just stuff like, come on, ladies and gentlemen, give her a hand, what are you worried about? If you're bleeding, if I only had one hand, I said, I go into the second hand shop, and just, I come here, I was just funny, and a lot of stuff like that. I wouldn't say I have a favourite joke. I have stuff that I like doing, but I think a lot of the stuff for me is when it's stuff that's not expected to happens. And it's great. And I mean, the master at that, in my opinion, is Jason Bourne. Have you ever seen Jason Bourne live?
Seen clips. I've never seen a full show or a live show.
You need to go and see him. I say to everybody, if there's anything you need to do, go and see Jason Bourne. He is a masterclass in comedy. It's unbelievable to watch. I'm very fortunate that he's a really good friend of mine, and he's just a master at his craft and what he does. And his thing is talking to the crowd, and he just has this nice way of doing it that they don't feel as if they're getting
rinsed.
Yeah, exactly. He does it in a nice way, and he's great at it. But I've seen him doing some stuff, and Went to Edinburgh with him loads of times. Was over there with him last year, and he's the biggest selling ticket in Edinburgh every year. Like,
really?
He's the hottest ticket in Edinburgh the last, I would say, easily 7 years.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's very well respected, and another fella that's just very, very down to earth. You know, yeah, good, really good fella. You know.
Sick.
We'll have to add that to the list, Limo. Although we'll sit at the back, so
yeah,
he doesn't start rinsing those.
Yeah. No, but even if you start up the front, he does it in a way where you'd actually you'd like it.
Yeah. Well, I get some good content out of it.
You know, I've seen some MCs, and I'm not going to name anybody, that I feel like they kind of fucking just take the piss out of people.
Yeah,
and people,
there's a balance
people
to
sit
that,
in the front row. And they're going, I've
and-
paid 30 or 40 quid in to see this fella, and I'm getting fucking abused. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And it's not nice.
It's not
It's
experience
really
that,
not nice. Like, there's a way of doing it, you know, without kind of fucking people kind of cringing and sitting there like that, and people laughing at them, not laughing with them.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being laughed with and being laughed at. Do you know what I mean? And I think if people are laughing at people, it's not good. No. It's not good for people's mental health for people to be laughing at you and for you to be getting the piss took out of you in a way that you didn't want that. Like, you know, and it's not a great experience to walk my way at a gig like that and go, I got fucking roasted there. Like, do you know what I mean? Paid 40 quid in and got fucking torn asunder.
It was a bad old deal, that,
Going into counselling then for probably 3 years after. You know, most expensive gig you ever fucking go to. You know, seeing a psychotherapist. So what happened that night? Was it when he said you were a rapist? Or, you know, so I just... I think sometimes you've got to be careful what you're saying to people. People are delicate and people are fragile. Yeah. And you don't know when you're talking to someone what they're going through in their life. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Or what's happening? Is there someone at home belong to them dying? Have they been fucking sexually abused as a child? We don't know that. It's not written on people when you're talking to them. So be nice to people. Test the water.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And know your depths and know what it's okay to swim in before you start swimming. Do you know what I mean?
Quality. For you, pre-gig, do you have any like pre-show rituals or routines that you like to do to get yourself ready?
Oh, no, I don't. I do a bit of breathing exercises and that, and I just I get very overwhelmed before I go on stage, no matter what the gig is. So the Gaiety was the biggest gig of mine today, and to do it, like to sell it out within 4 weeks was unbelievable. It was a great achievement. But I remember being in the changing room on my own, and there was MCD who've been very good to me. Was saying like, what do you want? What do you want us to get you? Now I don't drink, and I said, look, bring in a few drinks because my missus has a drink. A couple of me mates have a drink. I said, get a few bottles of this and a few bottles of that. It's not like, listen, I don't drink, just get me water.
Yeah.
It's like. So there was a few drinks there, and there was cans of Red Bull, and there was sweets, and there was fruit, and whatever it was, and I just had to sit down and probably have a bottle of water and do a little bit of breathing, and I tried to take it all in, and not to be up in my head and be in the present moment, to be present, because as humans we find, well, I know that I find even when I'm sitting here and going, before this started, I'm going, what am I doing after here? Right, so I've got to get out of here. My missus is with her daughter at a football match. I have to meet her in at my mum's. We've got to do a few things in my mum's house. Then we've got to get back. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you're either going forward or you're either looking back at something. So I try to stay in the present and be in the moment of what's happening. And that's why they call it the present, because the present is a gift. Do you know what I mean? And if you can stay in the moment. So when I'm backstage or I'm waiting to go on, I kind of tend, obviously because I don't drink and I don't take drugs as well, so I just feel the whole feelings of it, the anxiety, the nervousness, the analysation in my head, what if this, what if that doesn't work, can I pull that joke out and will that make that good, and if the gig isn't really going as well as I think it should be going, I have a banker at the end to go, well, they're definitely going to laugh at this. But I mean, the Gaiety was great because I remember speaking to my nephew, and my nephew was saying to me, a couple of days later, he said, it was mad when I come up to the gate. He says, and I seen hundreds of people outside. He says, queuing up to see you, like.
Yeah.
He says, and I'm kind of going, because my nephew will be like my brother, like, even though there's 16 years of a gap in between the two of us. Like, my sister Susan, God be good to her, had him when I was 16, but we've always had a very, very close relationship.
Yeah.
So he'd be more like my brother than my nephew. And he said, I was standing there going, geez, they're all coming to see my uncle. Like, he said, and it was a mad realisation for him at the time. Because I remember going into gigs, whether it was, you know, supporting somebody or whether I was just going in, because I'm a comedy fan as well. I like to go and see comedy. I like to go and watch comedy and see how other people's craft is and what they do and what they're about and the joke set up and the storytelling, or whether it's puns or whatever it might be. And going into venues and looking at queues going, Jesus, they're all coming in to see, you know, Jason Bourne, Tommy Tiernan and whoever it might be. And I always went, geez, it'd be great to have a crowd like that coming to see me. And it's happening, like, now. And come here, I've been at this game for years. Like, it's not like I just rocked along, you know, in the last couple of years and people have went, oh, let's go see. They don't realise that for the last 17 years, like, I've been around, like, do you know what I mean? I've been slogging up and down the country, do you know what I mean? Finishing work of a Friday afternoon and jumping into a car and driving to Cork and doing a gig for 20 minutes. And then getting back in the car and driving back up to Dublin, like, do you know what I mean? Nobody gets to see that. They get to see the footage of me on podcasts being funny, and then they get to see the footage of me, you know, probably doing a bit of stand-up or a wedding and go, you know. But it's a long road, like, it's a long, lonely road sometimes, because sometimes you're just left with you and your thoughts and your car and a bleeding can of Red Bull at 3 o'clock in the morning making your way back to Dublin, like. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not like I've just arrived. Do you know what I mean? I've been here a long, long time, but it's only now that people are starting to notice me, you know? So, I was in the gate here. I know I've kind of ran off there with that answer, but I remember being in the gate here and being in the changing room that Billy Connolly had been in the changing room that Pavarotti had been in the changing room that George Bernard Shaw had been in the changing room that Bernard Bean had been in, the Christians, Paul Weller, all these amazing people. And I got a moment to myself while Eric was on stage, and I got down on my knees and I said to myself, you know, I'm so grateful to be here now in this place and be able to do this, you know. And you couldn't have handpicked the audience. Like, it was just fucking amazing. Like, no drink or no drug ever gave me that feeling of walking out onto a stage and just looking and going. It was very, very emotional, very overwhelming, like, you know. So, come here, I'm very grateful. Really, really am. Very grateful for where I am in my life and for what I have, more so internally than externally, you know. Yeah, I am. I'm in a great place at the minute, like, you know. And I said this a while ago. I was saying it to Eric on the podcast. I like where I'm at the minute. I'm happy not being bleeding famous. Like, I kind of feel like I'm popular. What they say to me, Mrs. I'm a Z-list celebrity, like, you know. It's like I can still go around and I can go into town and I can do a bit of shopping and whatever. And sometimes I hear people going, there's Willa White. Do you know what I mean? And I just kind of and sometimes they go, yeah, that's me, you know, and they have a laugh. And then I'm still able to do my own thing, like, you know. Yeah. So it's great. It's brilliant.
What an answer.
I think that's my favourite answer I've heard.
Yeah. This isn't a quick fire, and I apologise for jumping ahead, but just the way you answered that question in that moment in that changing room where all these greats have been and you were there on your hands and knees, did you ever, like, when you're in the depths of everything with in prison and addiction, did you ever picture your life could have been that way?
No, Jesus Christ, no, never. When you're caught up in the fucking realms of active addiction and you're living on the streets and you're living day by day and you're just using and you're putting drugs into your body and you just can't even enjoy the drugs that you're putting into your body because you're worried about where you're gonna get the next drugs and what's gonna involve getting that, you know. I never kind of thought that my life would end up like that. I knew I was always better than that, you know. I knew that, you know, somewhere along the motorway in life that I just got off at the wrong exit. Do you know what I mean? And things just got a little bit fucking hectic for me. And if I'd have stayed on and probably got off at exit 12, that things would have probably ran a little bit smoother. But I made the decisions in life that were detrimental to me, that were detrimental to me life at that time, but were also in the long term going to get me to where I am now. So there was growth in the pain, and there was rewards from the pain as well. And I'm not sitting here saying to anybody, you know, go on heroin and crack cocaine because things will turn out all right. Like, more so the probability is that it doesn't turn out all right You end up with long-term health issues. You might end up on a methadone program, and if the reality be known, you'll end up in a hole somewhere, or you'll end up taking your own life.
Yeah.
So I was very, very lucky, and I was very fortunate. But there was a lot of hard work put in on my behalf for me to get where I needed to get to. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the comedy thing. People don't see the slog of where I was in my active life. They don't see me back then. Like, there's probably a person that's coming to see me that probably put money in a cup that I was begging with in town. Like, and I say that when in me set, I'm saying, look, don't look down on people that have addiction issues, be it alcohol, be it drugs or whatever. We all belong to somebody. Do you know what I mean? Some people suffer from childhood trauma that has ended them up on the streets. Other people just fall on hard times and can't pay bills. And, everyone has a story. Like, so in a sense, I suppose I'm probably the voice for them people to go, don't look down on them. If you're going to do that, and give them a fucking hand up. Sometimes you don't want your money. Sometimes you just want you to talk to them and buy them a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And give them a little bit of your time. Your time is priceless. Like, money can always be got. Do you know what I mean? But I tend sometimes just to bring myself down to their level on me hunkers and go down with how's it going. And I usually say, do you know what? I was actually in the position that you were in before. And their eyes kind of light up a bit, and I tell them about it, and I tell them where I am now. And sometimes I ask them, have they got a phone? And if they have, I give them my phone number and I say, look, if you ever bleed and get yourself together, or you ever want me to do anything for you, if I can, give me a ring and I'll do what I can. And I do, like, do you know what I mean? I do. More people don't ring than do ring. I mean, like,
yeah.
I think when the apple is ripe, it falls from the tree. When you're ready, you're ready. And some people just aren't ready. Fear keeps people away for a long time. To come back into society and start feeling the feelings that you felt, that you suppressed for so long when you used drugs, is a very, very difficult thing to deal with. And it takes a long time to do it, like, Yeah, for sure. And I'm just fortunate enough that I've been able to navigate my way back to some kind of normality. And I'm not fixed by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I'm in recovery 23 years and I still go see a psychotherapist, and I still, talk to people about stuff that I have problems with life, and people still die. I've had a few people the last few weeks that have took their own lives. The guy in work on Wednesday morning, we buried him. And he took his own life the week before last. That was very, very difficult. And life goes on, and life on life's terms is very difficult. But it's a lot easier than what it was like when I was taking drugs. So that's why I choose this way of life, like,
When we were doing a bit of like research, if you want to call it that, coming into the podcast, as Lee said, your story is incredible. 2 pieces of information stuck out for me. One was a name and one was a date. So the name was Mark Farrell and the date was the 4th of April 2001, I believe. Tell us a bit about those.
So Mark was a prison officer, is a prison officer.
Still active?
Yeah, I'm still in contact with him, still have his name on the phone, and I hadn't seen him. I asked him, he was the guy that I asked for help in Mountjoy Prison, and he got me the help. And I just had to ask, and it was very, very difficult to do. And I went up and I asked him, and he said, right, okay, what do you want to do? I said, look, I want to go into detox in prison. And I knew I needed to get myself together. And he got me the help, and I went and I got my shit together. But I was in Mountjoy last year with Lynn Ruan, believe it or not.
Right.
We were doing, there was some, there was some kind of, there was like it was like not an experiment, it was like a group kind of thing that was going on with music and prisoners and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I hadn't seen Mark in years and years and years. And when I was up doing it, he was there. And he came over and the two of us were hugging each other and the two of us were crying. He was crying and I was crying. And I kind of felt it more for him because he was in an environment where there was prisoners in that environment where he was, in the hall that we were in, and he'd kind of just let his guard down completely and let the lads see him for exactly what he was, which was a fucking human being, like, that he's not the fella that just has the keys off the doors that let you in and out. He's a fella with feelings, he's a fella with emotions, and he's a fella with empathy, understanding, and what it's like to be on the other side, of the wall, and to be able to help people. you know, and the prison service needs more Mark Farrells, like, you know, 100%. People that when you're in your lowest fucking time, in your darkest place, that can walk in with a torch and just give you that little bit of fucking light that you need to walk out of there, like, you know. And I will be forever indebted to this man, and forever thankful for what that man has done for me. And we still stay in contact. I'm actually due. I'm gonna go and meet him during the summer and take him for something to eat and just spend a bit of time. And we came to the Laughter Lounge there last year and come in to watch a gig, and him and his missus, and it was mad. I dropped him home to his house.
Oh, hey.
You know, it's like, look, we're just two different people. I've got a mate of mine as well from Ballymun who was the governor of Mountjoy.
Oh, yeah.
So he took his route. He was the governor, and I ended up the prisoner. Like, another really nice fella as well. Yeah. So look, some people just get off at different exits on the motorway of life. Do you know what I mean? And my exit was just fucking. It was the road to addiction and fucking dysfunctional stuff that was gonna happen in my life. Like a lot of people, you know, people that have had problems in their lives, or people that have been damaged, and people that haven't been damaged, people that just like a little bit of madness, that come from really nice families and affluent areas and stuff like that. Addiction doesn't discriminate. Like, it doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, what colour you are, what you drive, how much money you have. But if you get the taste for fucking drugs, man, it's a fucking horrible. It's a horrible journey to be on.
Yeah. And I think it was I've listened to so much of you in the past week that I don't know which podcast I got these bits of information from, but I think it was with the two Norries, and you were saying like your like experimentation with drugs would have been as young as like 7 or 8 years old with solvents and stuff like that.
Yeah, only a kid, like only a child. When I think about it, and I know some people will probably look at me and go, "Fuck off, you're telling lies," and I'm genuinely not. I was damaged mentally from my upbringing. And when I look back at it, and I don't really point the finger of blame anymore at my parents. Do you know what I mean? Because when I looked into where they came from and the upbringing they had, I understood. Do you know what I mean? It took me a good few years to understand it, but I remember when I started taking solvents first as a kid, I really enjoyed it because it took me away from all that. It took me away from everything that was going on at home. You know, and for that short term, when I was taking solvents, whether I was inhaling gas or sniffing petrol or taking tinners or wherever it might be, that kind of oblivion I got was it was fucking unbelievable, like, you know, to be able to get away from it. And obviously, you know, after all the highs, you can expect all the lows, and you go back to where things is just going on at home, and then you know, though, that there's an escape, and you know then, and when I found drink, you know, I knew that when I drank for them few hours, like, I forgot all about it as well, and I was just I was just looking for something outside of what was happening at home, like, you know, and drugs gave me that, like. And maybe if I'd have honed in on football or, you know, something else, I was never really good at sport or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? I always loved bikes as a kid growing up. Do you know what I mean? I was always into BMXs, and I was into cycling and, you know, doing a bit of this and that. But it was nothing like GAR or football or anything like that I wasn't really good at. And that's all right. Other kids excel in other areas in their life, like, you know. But I was always fucking funny, like, as a kid. I was always a funny kid. I was always entertaining. I was in talent competitions when I was a child, and so maybe if someone, you know, which is a bit late now, had a kind of seeing that I'd have had something and brought me down a different path. You know, maybe I wouldn't be here now and talking about me passing this podcast. The road would have been, you know, travelled a little bit more differently and a little bit more lighter, like. But that's not the way it was. It is the way it is. I understand it. I've got great acceptance around it. I made amends with my father before he passed away, and I loved him, and my sister as well. And my mum at the moment isn't great; she's in hospital. But just even been up there with her last night, being able to sit with her and give her a bit of my time, and kind of, I said to her last night, my missus says to me, maybe you need to have a talk with your mum about what she wants. You know what you. And I said to me, Master Anton, I said, if anything goes wrong here, she says to me, what do you mean if anything goes wrong? I said, you know what I mean. He says, if things take a turn for the worse, is there nothing that you want me to do for you or anything like that, you know? And she went, No, she says, I'm all right as I am at the minute, you know. So just to be able to be there for other people. I was never there for other people.
Yeah.
I was never there for myself. So how could I be there for other people, like?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I had no time for me, I had no respect for me, I had no love for me. So I couldn't give that to other people because what I hadn't got myself, I can't give. Do you know what I mean? I can't fill other people's cups when I don't fucking have a cup.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Not that my cup is empty, like. I sold my cup for drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, it's an ongoing process. It's life. It's about living my life, and it's about doing as much as I can and not looking back. That when I am in that position of, you know, that I'm at, you know, the end of my life, that I can look back and go, Jesus, look at all the great stuff that I done. Do you know what I mean? Don't mind about the drugs or whatever, but look what happened from the age of 29 when I come into recovery, and I done this and I done that, and I loved this person and I loved that person. I was able to do all these things, like, and I think that's how you're measured at the end of life. You know, it's not about what you have or what you drive or what you wear or anything like that. You know, material things don't mean a thing when you're lying on your deathbed, like. You know, it's the love of other people and the time that they're going to give to you.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? And it's summed up in the church. You look around the church, you see a church packed, and people, you know that you were kind, you were caring, you were loving, you were considerate. You were, you know, that I was all the things that I was the opposite to that I was when I was using. Like, you know, that's a big change for me, and to be able to do that, you know.
For sure. And I think this interview was with someone from Ballymun Axis, but you were talking about recovery, and I know obviously forgiveness is a big part of that, whether it's forgiving yourself, forgiving those who wronged you, and seeking forgiveness from those that you wronged. And you said that being sober, your mum said that winning the lotto wouldn't give her the same feeling that she would get from seeing you clean and sober. What was that like for you personally, going through that journey of recovery? Like, was there a lot of like shame you had to deal with and kind of making amends for your past, and what was that kind of journey like?
Oh yeah, Jesus, come here, look at shame and guilt is something that everybody carries into recovery, like, you know. Shameful of your actions and shameful, you know, of things that you might have said, things that you might have done, and but I think when you get the realisation around that it was all just driven by an addiction, by a drug, by a bag of powder, by a drink, whatever it might be. Do you know what I mean? That there is a bit of understanding and a bit of empathy from people that you sometimes go to make them amends with. You know, because I work a 12-step program, and you know, there's an amends step, like, you know, and you go and you make amends to people for things that you've done. Now, sometimes it's recommended that you don't make amends to people if you've done something that you know is going to kick up something really, really bad, like. Do you know what I mean? So in that situation, you make indirect amends. You know, you do something else, you know, to kind of, you'll never give back, you know, or get back what you've done to people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Some people are left, you know, really unhappy and really, you know, scarred from addiction, from stuff that people have done on them, and they'll never get over. Personal things been taken on them. You know, some people might have took a watch off somebody that they got from their father or something like that. That'll never be got back. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So what do you do in a situation like that? So I mean, when I go to make amends to people, I usually go over and say, listen, you know, I just want to let you know I'm in recovery, and that doesn't mean I'm exempt for about, you know, from what I'm about to say. And I say, look, at that time that this happened, I done that, and I'm really sorry to say that I done that, and I'm ashamed that I done it, and I'm really upset about doing it. So I just want to let you know that I've done that, and is there anything that I can do to make amends for that thing that I've done? And then the hardest part then is just to shut your fucking mouth and let the person say back what they need to say to you. Yeah. You know, and some people might accept it, some people mightn't. Some people, you know, say, listen, forget about it. Other people say, look, all right, okay, you've done that, I want you to do this and I want you to do that. And if that's in your power to do that, you do it. And that's recovery, like, you know. That's recovery for me. So it's uncomfortable, and it's unnerving, but it's just something that has to be done, like, you know, in my opinion.
And I like the whole journey, let's say, of addiction kind of started around 7 or 8, and then it was 29 when you got sober. Say that's 20 years or whatever it is. Throughout those 20 years, kind of two questions in it, but was there many times throughout the 20 years where you tried to go sober and failed, or like many attempts at it? And then what was the difference that final time that worked?
I think I never really had a support network around me. I just kind of went on self-will. And self-will, I always explain self-will, it's like putting a tenner's worth of petrol into a car. The tenner's worth of petrol will bring you so far, and you've got to get out of the car then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I never really had the supports. I never really had a network of friends that were all drug-free, that were living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. I always felt that I was on my own, no matter what I done. Like, and I went through withdrawals loads of times, and I went through cold turkey only ever to go back and proceed to do what I used to do before, like, which was take drugs, you know. Because the temptation were great, and the people that I was keeping company with were taking drugs, so it was inevitable I was going to use again. And I suppose what happened between then and when I was 29 was that when I was 29, I found a 12-step program. And I knew in the 12-step program, now there was a support there for me. Now there was people there who lived and enjoyed life without the use of drugs and were able to support each other. And that for me was the fucking key that turned the door, you know?
Yeah.
So when I got that, and I knew then, and I seen fellas that I used to use with, and I got that small fucking flicker of hope, I says to myself, I've got a way of doing this now. All the other times meant nothing. I remember a fella saying to me, this is the last time you ever have to go through withdrawals, like, and that kind of stuck with me as well. And I just followed it through. I started to get a little believe in myself, and I followed through with this thing. And then eventually, when I did get out of prison, I got out on the 3rd of April, and I got clean on the date that you talked about, which is the 4th of April. And life just kind of fucking took off, like, you know, things just started to happen when I put in the effort and start making, you know, headways in what I was doing, and you know, finding out what recovery was about, and, you know, doing different stuff, like learning how to play squash and going, you know, playing a little bit of five-a-side football, or, you know, going on weekend retreats, and, you know, doing meditation and playing badminton and playing golf and all these things that I'd never done before. Because people do say, oh, what'll I do if I stop taking drugs or stop drinking?
Yeah.
There's so much to do. Like drinking and taking drugs is literally only that much of your life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've got so much I can do on a daily basis, like, and stuff that doesn't cost that neither. You know, I like to get into the sea and have a swim in that, whether it's December or whether it's July. Do you know what I mean? I think it's great for the head, and I strongly advise anybody to go and do it. It's really, really good. So sometimes I just go down to the beach on my own and put my bag on my back and go in and have a dip and just spend a bit of time with myself, wherever it might be, like, you know. So that's what was different. It was the unity, and it was the fellowship.
Yes.
You know, that's what done it for me. And yeah, it's the best thing I ever done in my bleeding life, you know. It really, really is. And I think 29 was a great age as well, like, you know. Come here, obviously I'd have loved to stop when I was 18 or whatever, like that, but do you know what I mean? I wasn't battered into the ground, like, because I don't. In a sense, I look at fellas that I used with, and you'd know by looking at them, you go, he was on drugs, like.
Yeah.
They have that haggard, battered kind of look. I think I just kind of got out under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like people don't know, unless I tell them sometimes, if they don't know me past that I'm in recovery, they go, fucking hell, you'd never think that, like. Do you know what I mean? You'd never think it. But I was just kind of lucky in that sense. I was all right. I got off the bleeding bus when the time was right to get off it, like, you know.
Yeah, just.
I didn't stay on to the terminus and kind of bleeding, rally myself that little bit more into the ground, like. And yeah, 29 was a great age, like, it was great to do it.
Yeah.
And I'd highly recommend recovery to anybody, for anyone that's listening or anyone that's struggling. The help is there.
Yeah.
You know, it takes more of a man to ask for the help than it does to bleed and go on and walk through the fucking fires of hell every day, like, you know.
Yeah. was going to ask, because you obviously seeked help while in prison, which seems like quite a like masculine and intimidating environment. Like, to ask for help outside of prison as a man is tough, but inside of a prison wall, it seems like it would have been terrifying to walk up and ask for help.
Yeah, it was. Come here, it was very, very. And come here, nobody gave a fuck. Like, I thought everybody was looking at me like when I was going to ask for help. Prison life just goes on. Like, you don't take, like, if 20 blokes on a landing walked up to an officer to ask for help, I would be oblivious to it. I wouldn't see it because I'm so consumed in myself. Do you know what I'm saying about what I'm doing in prison life? Am I going over here to see if I can get a bit of gear to have a fucking turn on with, or, you know, am I running somewhere to, you know, to do, like, you don't really get a time to take your blinkers off you and look around and see really what's going on. Like, it's just kind of tunnel vision all the time, you know. So I know that when I walked up and asked for help that day, as much as I thought everyone was looking, when I look back now, nobody gave a fuck, like. Do you know what I mean? And to be able to go up and just say, listen, I really need to dig out. And for Mark as well, just to be so human and not real kind of smirk or anything like that, was real humanity kind of stuff. It was real, right, okay, we're going to do something now.
Yeah.
And I think he probably got more out of being able to give me something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Unbeknownst to him, was it going to change my life? You know, and I'm sure, like, he's sitting at home some nights and something comes on the telly, or I'm on the Tommy Tiernan show, or I'm on wherever it might be on the TV, and there's a sense of him just sitting back and going, fucking hell.
Fair play.
Do you know what I mean? And how can you refuse anybody?
Yeah.
Even the ones that fail, like, you don't know. You don't know who's walking up and asking for help, or what they're going to do with their life, or where they're going to end up, like. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to Berlin, like, on the 20th of this month, to do a play over there in a theatre festival for a week, like. And it's like fucking hell, like. And I've been to Paris with it, and I've been to Belgium with it, and I've been to Norway with it. We've took it to Edinburgh, and we've done an Irish tour. And I mean, the stuff I've done and achieved in my life, fellas will never, like, I could honestly say that if I walked out here today and I was told that it's terminal illness and I'm going to die next Saturday, I would be really, really happy with everything I've achieved in the last 23 years. Because what I've done in the last 23 years, some people on this earth will never get to do. You know, so I'm fucking so happy, like, you know. You know, the stuff that I've seen, even my kids coming into the world, my grandkids, the love that my partner has for me and I have for her, and just being able to give of myself selfishly to other people, like, and not looking for anything in return, like. Do you know what I mean? That in itself is a quality that not a lot of human beings have, like. Do you know what I mean? I'm fucking blessed with that, like. I really am, you know.
Yeah.
Just when you mentioned the ages there, Willa, are you 52?
I'm 53 and
that is I would have never put 50s on you.
Yeah, I'm 50. I'm 53 on the 17th of June, yeah.
Unbelievable. Like, the energy that you
dressed
have.
like a young fella.
Yeah, you're better dressed than us, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You had the goose jacket on coming.
I'm 53, and it's like, I don't think the mind ever grows old. It's just a vessel that you travel in.
Yeah.
You know, I think the body gets older. The body slows down.
The only
But inside, I'm still a young fella. I'm still that teenager at times that was full of fucking life on a hot summer's day, running around. Do you know what I mean? When things was all right, when maybe for a couple of days things was all right in the house, and my man and dad were getting on, and I was carefree, and it was like, do you know what I mean? And I still have that lust for life and that thing. Like, I was down the beach last Sunday, and a fella had a couple of horses there, and I said, give us a go on your horse. And your man goes, yeah, no bother. He said, can you go on a horse? I was like, yeah. And I jumped up on the horse, and I just fucking took off up the beach, like.
I think we seen a picture on Instagram.
Yeah, I had a video up, and I was like,
Yeah.
was that young flick again?
Yeah. That's powerful, man.
I don't actually, they're not tears of bleeding sorrow, like, you know. They're real tears of joy about where I am in my life, and fucking the people that I have in my life. Do you know what I mean? I've got really good people. You need good people going through life, like, you know. it makes the journey through life that bit easier. You know, when you've got good people around you. I don't like negative people. I don't like disrespectful people. I want to surround myself with good fucking people, and I've got good people in my corner. I produce good stuff and I do good stuff. And when I surround myself with negative people and negative things, it's not good for me, you know. It's really not, like, you know. So I mean, I always say this as well, I'm not fucking perfect. Like, I get things wrong and I sometimes tell people to fuck off or whatever, like, but I'm human, like, you know. I'm only human, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I'll go back and say, listen, I was out of fucking order there and whatever. And usually the hatchet's buried and we shake hands and we get on and whatever it might be, even in work or just everyday stuff, like, you know. But I'm just fucking forever grateful, like, to get a second chance of life. When I look at me mates that are no longer here, that are dead. I had a good friend of mine took his life there actually a month ago. It's his month's mine today. Who suffered with his head and just couldn't find a way out. Like he was in a maze upstairs in his head, and his only way out for him was to take his own life. Like, and I just find that very fucking sad.
Yeah.
I really, really do. You know, anybody that's suffering with mental health, and I put it down to mental health and drugs. It's nothing else. That's what's taking the lives of young men in this country. Like, you know, there's loads of groups out there. There's loads of services out there. You know, there's suicide awareness, D15. You know, there's whoever it might be. There is people you can talk to. You know, and a problem shared is a problem halved. Like, you know, there's always what you think there's only one answer to. There could be 10 answers to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And don't put that on your family, like. You know, and I know for people, and I know for me, because I was cut down off a window over in a psychiatric hospital over in London. I tried to take my own life, and I contemplated it in recovery as well. Like, there is a thin line between it, genius and insanity.
Yeah.
But it's good to talk to people and let people know where you are. You know, and we can all put up this facade, you know, that everything is all right. Like, I'll go into the laughter lounge tonight, and I'll be like, you know, take my mother-in-law and having a laugh. Yeah. But my mum is really, really sick up in hospital, like, and my life behind, it's like the tears of a clown, like. Do you know what I mean? Everyone thinks, he's fucking great and he's gas, but they don't see that I've got stuff going on in life, and I still need to go, and I still need to perform. Because if you don't put yourself out there and you don't perform, you don't do whatever, people forget about you. It's out of sight, out of mind. Like, you know, if all my content was took down off social media and I stopped gigging, in a year's time people would be going, do you remember your man, what was his name again? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so look, I'm just kind of fortunate that the Mater Hospital is only 10 minutes walk from where I'm gigging as well. Do you know, and if anything goes fucking wrong, God forbid all harm, I'll be there, like, you know. It's just great to be there for other people and be and help someone. You know, people don't need to die like that. Suicide in this country amongst young men is unreal, and women. Women are doing it as well, like, you know. I know it's never going to fully stop, but if people talk to people, it can be the statistics and the numbers can come down. Do you know what I mean? And if it's one less person that needs to die a month, isn't it something right that we're doing, like, you know?
Definitely. I want to read out a quote here, Willa. I believe it's from The Experiment, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, it's not called The Experiment. What's the name of the play? The Examination. I
used to call The Experiment as well, so you're all right. I actually put something up on my Instagram going, not long now, and it was The Experiment that my missus was in stitches Latin. She goes, you fucking idiot.
The quote is, what does this visage reveal about who I am, about where I've been, my place, my worth, the things I have done, the things I dream? You can't know me. You come across like a very, very outgoing and bubbly person, but definitely somebody where there's a lot more than what meets the eye. What is it that keeps you positive and keep on moving forward on those tough days?
What keeps me positive and keeps me moving forward is the people that I love around me and what I have in my life. And I don't mean by what I have in my life materialistically. I believe in the things that I have to give. I believe I've been put on the earth for a reason. I believe that I'm kind of like Jesus Christ. I suffered for a while, and then at the age of 29, I got myself together. I think Jesus was 29 or something. Was he when he?
Yeah.
He wasn't far off.
So me and Jesus have a bit in common, like, you know. No, the thing that moves me forward is the people that I have around me, my family, my partner, who I am very, very lucky to have found. You know, I've been with her 8 years now. She's an amazing woman, and she keeps me grounded a lot as well. Like, and my kids, my grandkids, a circle of friends that I have, and just, you know, I've just got a lot of positive stuff going on, you know, that keeps me driven and keeps me motivated. And I mean, the future is great. There's loads of stuff going on, like, and I'm just so fortunate to have, you know, the people, as I said to you earlier, it's the people in my life that make things an awful lot easier for me. I know it's, you know, with my career and with my job and anything that I do, that's a personal kind of thing, that I'm in that on my own, like. But I mean, on the greater side of things, outside of that, you know, outside of the comedy, outside of the acting, outside of being an individual in the workplace, it's the circle of people that I have around me, family being the close circle, and friends. They're the people that prop me up on the good days and the bad days, you know. People that are cheering for me in the front row of life, whether I'm fucking doing really well or whether I'm doing really bad. They're the people, you know, that keep me going and keep me motivated, you know.
Beautiful. Man. Magic. Like what you shared, Willa, everything you've been through, I can imagine how easy it would be just to be so cynical and so like full of spite or full of hate for life or for people, for like, I don't know, your parents, for what they put, like all these things that you could just lean on as being like pessimistic and really just harsh against the world. And just talking to you and even just watching videos on YouTube and on podcasts and chatting to you in person, you can just feel the energy that you bring, and it is genuine, like, gratitude and just how grateful you are for not just the great stuff that you get to do now, but almost like gratitude for all this shit that you had to go through to get to here as well. Like, it's just so admirable, but it's probably not even big enough of a word, strong enough of a word to see you like expelling that message and giving out. And I think, speaking about mental health, addiction, all those tough times that people go through, to see you as a living example of what can lie on the other side of all those things, and as a showing in life, like, this is possible, there's more than one way out, and on the other side of it is not just a life that's different, it's a life that's so much greater and fuller as a result of getting through and getting out. It's like, so impressive, man, so impressive.
Yeah, it's come here, I think life sometimes is just a college of knowledge, isn't it? Like, you know, some kids are streetwise and grow up on the streets. Others kids are stuck behind the fucking screen of a phone. Other kids are up in the room on PlayStations and kind of shy away from what's going on in life. Like, do you know what I mean? We all have different paths that we're on. We've all different destinations. There's different things for us. I mean, you walk into a concert in Crow Park and everybody that's in there are going to a different place and do different things when they leave that venue. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's mad. Like, we're all unique in our own way. Like, do you know what I mean? And we're all different. And I think that's what makes the world a great place. Like, you know, there is some miserable, some mean, some heartless bastards that's out there as well. But I think love overcomes fucking everything. Like, love is stronger than hate, even though there's only 4 words in each one, like, you know. It'll always overrule. Yeah. So I just kind of try to stay on that side. I think hate just breeds resentment and fucking anger, and all that stuff builds up stress, and stress causes stuff in your body, you know, that'll end you up in hospital. Like, so just try to take the positive out of stuff. You know, people fuck up, people do the wrong things. You know, people break things or whatever. It's just material stuff. Like, everything can be fixed materialistically, you know. People's minds are very hard to be fixed. It's like I say to people, you know, I see fellas that look great or in great shape and all. I say, is there nothing in the gym for your brain? Like, it's fuck all. You got to go and sit down, you got to talk to people, and some people's brain are like a ball of bleeding wool that's just wrapped up. And you just need to go in and try and untwine it and just try get it into some type of bleeding decent shape, like, you know. So
great knowledge.
You'll only get that from talking to people, telling people how you feel, and maybe if they're not the person that you talk to, just to get a bit of direction and go to talk to somebody else who might give you a hammer. Look, we're all under construction. We're all a work in process. None of us are the finished product. None of us are ever going to be what's defined as perfect. You know, perfect is probably just a vase on a window with pretty fucking flowers in it. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, as human beings and as people, I don't think there's ever perfection. Like, you know, you'll fucking. There's days that you'll get it doing something.
Yes,
you might kick a ball and hit it in that spot that you're meant to hit it in the net, and that was perfect. Like, but consistency with perfect is very hard to accomplish.
Definitely.
You know, we've all got flaws. We've all got defects of characters. We've all got fucking stuff. We've all got guilt. We've all got shame. It's how you harness that and how you navigate through life with that defines the person I think that you are, you know.
Definitely.
That's just my opinion. I could be fucking wrong.
I agree
but look,
with you.
I'm okay with that as well, like, you know.
Yeah. That was a great analogy. There's a statistic I wanted to bring up because when I heard you mention it, it was frightening. It was when you went to the detox unit, there was 10 of you. I think that went. 6 died, 3 are still using, and you're the only one who got clean.
Yeah, seven are actually dead.
7 are dead. Like,
so yeah, that was when I got in from when I spoke to Mark Fardell. I got into this detox unit, and the statistics from the guy that was doing it from Kilmoyne was saying, look, if one of you get clean, it's going to be a great group. Right. So I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm going to get clean, like, you know. But I'm sure you don't know him. Was sitting there as well saying the same thing. And unfortunately, 7 of them are dead. I'm alive. One of the other guys got clean. He only got clean the last few years, a mate of mine. And one of the other lads is using, like. So that's the reality, and that's the real raw truth of active addiction, like, and that's what it does, like. It fucking kills people. It devastates families. You know, and it puts people into fucking holes, like.
Yeah.
All you are is a name on RIP, like, you know, and you're mentioned every now and again.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? You're a memory, someone hears the song, do you remember that was Mick's favourite song or whatever it might be, like.
Yeah.
Look, and I know we're all, the end game is every one of us, we're only living to die realistically at the end of the day. But it's what you do from when you take that first breath to when you take that last breath.
Yeah.
That inevitably makes the difference, not only in your life, but the impact that it'll make on other people's life as well. So your carbon footprint left on the planet and your legacy, in my opinion, should really be a nice one, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I know some people are damaged more so than others, and other people's lash out, and other people are into violence, and they've no other way of channel and stuff. And some people are just that sick that nothing can be done for them, that they end up in the prison system all their lives, and they end up in psychiatric institutions and living on the street, and the ball of wool in their head will never get untangled, like, you know. But I mean, if you have something half decent that you can walk with, do you know what I mean? And you think you can do something with your life, and you think you can make a difference, first and foremost to you before you make it to anybody else, fucking make the change, like.
Yeah. You used the word legacy there, Willa. What would you like your legacy to be? How would you like to be
My
remembered?
legacy to be is that I give the best hugs. I don't, you know, come
You
here,
look like a
people.
good hugger.
Yeah, I am a great hugger. I think
We'll
it's
test it
great
out
to
if
feel
you
the
like.
warmth and feel, you know, to feel a good hug off someone. I mean, my legacy would be to be that I was that I loved other people and I was loved. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that I helped people that needed help, like, and fucking put my hand out to people. You know, and try to make a difference in other people's lives. The way I'd loving people to try and make a difference in my life. You know, and the way the difference was made in my life. That I can carry on, you know, and do stuff for people and try. What's a quote I heard yesterday? It was really, really good. It was helping one person won't change the world, but it might help change their world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's a great quote. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're not going to change the world by helping one person, but you'll probably change that person's world.
Yes.
If you just take a chance and, you know, like I'm saying, crouching down and talking to somebody on the streets that's fucking on drugs or whatever, and saying, look, there's a phone number, and being able. Look, I've often went to meetings, 12-step meetings, and fellas pulling me aside and going, you came to a treatment centre and I listened to what you were talking about and you gave me that bit of shift in my life that I needed, and I'm now 9 years clean and sober. And that stuff is just, it's fucking priceless.
Yeah.
You know, you in some way stopped him and his family from enduring the misery that so much other families and individuals have endured in their lives. Like, it's fucking great. Like,
yeah, that ripple
no
effect.
amount of money or no amount of anything like that can give you that feeling. Like, you know, to know that you've made a bit of it. I was at a gig last night and I was in the laughter lounge and a girl came up to me after the gig and she says, I started changing my life after I listened to your podcast. She says, I was fucking in a really, really dark place. She says, and when I heard what you'd been through and what you'd done with your life, she said, it spurred me on to do something in my life, you know, and that's fucking great, like.
Yeah.
Be able to give the gift of laughter as well, be able to make people laugh and, you know, and probably take them away from what's going on in their lives. You know, like, so in a way, like, it's a two-way thing. I'm on stage trying to get away therapeutically from what's going on in my personal life, and they're probably in there looking for a laugh to get away from what's going on in their personal life. So it's a two-way bleeding relationship with the audience and the performer, you know. I've only really just thought about that now, like, you know.
Makes sense.
Oh, massive insight, that, yeah. Big time.
We're coming towards the end now, but there's one last question I have for you. You're a man who embodies a quote. It's probably my favourite quote. I only heard it just before Christmas. And it's, the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror for a reason, because what's ahead is more important than what went before. If you were to leave this planet tomorrow and all you could leave behind was a piece of paper with one piece of advice on it for anyone to pick up and read, what would that piece of advice be?
Don't be a cunt.
In true Ballymun
No,
style.
do you know what? My piece of paper would probably say, treat others the way you would like to be treated. Plain and simple. Don't do unto other people what you wouldn't like done unto yourself. Treat everyone with a little bit of respect, you know, a little bit of dignity, and have understanding for other people, because you don't really know where they're at. You know, especially when you meet people for the first time. You can all, you know, put on the smile and all that, but realistically, you don't know what's going on. And allow people to be wrong the odd time as well, and allow them to roar and shout, because they're probably just pushing through something that's going on. You know, I've had it walking on sites with fellas and that, and I give people the right to be wrong, like, because I don't know what's going on in their private lives.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, definitely treat others like you'd like to be treated, like, you know?
Solid.
Well, we're all sharing quotes. There's a quote that I heard before that always stuck with me, and it's, be the person that you needed when you were younger. And I haven't really met many people who've embodied it better than yourself, Willa. So I don't have any more questions, but just a big thank you for coming on and sharing this. It's a conversation that's definitely going to stick with me way beyond these four walls. And
yeah,
I really
and you know what? I have to say I really, really enjoyed it, and I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting, you know, because I do analyse things in my head before they happen, as a lot of people do, you know. You're kind of going to wonder where this will go or whatever. Look, but I think if you go anywhere with an open mind, anything happens. Like, and I really, really enjoyed the conversation, and it was probably more beneficial for me as well as yourselves. Do you know what I mean? I got a lot of understanding, and I got a bit of clarity out of a lot of stuff I've said as well. And yeah, thanks very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We learn and grow together, man, and we're so grateful for you.